So, temple ship. Meaning final mission. Sure what to expect. Ah. Well, there probably aren't a lot of good things coming our way. Ghost ability. Become invisible, lasts one turn or until an attack is made. Ah, already accidentally opened it. Wonderful.
Enemy in sight.
Didn't exactly expect
They're
sectoids at
shifting
this
their
point.
attack. He's down.
Nothing matters at this point. Absolutely nothing. As long as we successfully complete the mission, we're golden.
Open fire.
Well, fuck.
Watch the flanks. X-ray neutralized.
Should be an easy kill for us at this point.
I'm about to start keeping score.
What is this? Rift. Creates a devastating psionic sword. Huh.
Moving to firing position.
I'll see if I can get the two sectoids that ran away.
Nailed him.
Moving to firing position. Enemies down.
That no one faces the earliest effort of the ethereal ones. The first failure. Though possessed of a certain brilliance, they were marred by their cowardice and frailty, which made them cruel and ultimately useless. Another attempt. This one inspired two subjects, each with a glaring weakness, brought together in the hopes of a symbiotic strength. And yet, this newfound power left them void of higher thought, lacking in comprehension. Another useless effort.
X-ray neutralized.
Okay.
I've got a visual.
We should be able to take care of the drones at least. And it doesn't cost us anything.
Hostiles pacified.
Hmm. We suppress or just try to kill? I think we're going for kills. It's not unreasonable that we might quite well succeed in killing them.
No
24
longer a
points of
threat.
damage. Thank you, anti-tank rounds.
Got him.
In the zone. Yeah, it doesn't cost actions. So, in the zone is probably a better ability compared to double tap. It might have its small problems, but at this point it just can do so
Let's
much
rock.
damage that you can basically just kill anything.
Good to go.
Group up a little bit. Decide
Reloaded.
how we're gonna do this.
Locked and loaded.
Otherwise, very easy at this point. Sure, we'll stumble upon every enemy we've faced so far, and we're going to get a little bit of a exposition what the ethereals were planning at the time. I suppose we could use someone with the ghost ability or ghost armor to do the scouting. It has a limited number of uses, but we have a lot of guys who have it, so we could just cycle them around, leave a use or two to handle surprise situations.
Rack tap bang.
We're green to go.
creating this merciless, fearless killer, a fate worse than death.
X-ray down.
Yes, X-ray down.
He's down. Moving to firing position. Weapons free.
Well, fuck. Just one step too close. Shit, I need to try to move as close as possible, otherwise I might not be able to detect them.
Got him covered.
Ramirez. Ron Ramirez.
X-ray neutralized.
Flush the other guy out.
Out you.
He died. Okay.
I'm all right.
The search for the gift in the most unsavory of beings. They were little more than insects when their uplift began, and in their failure became the most dangerous of predators, incapable of direction, understanding. They were deemed fit only to breed and die.
So they're basically using their mind powers to dump these creatures right on top of us. Still, let's see what our sniper can do. They don't use cover. And it just achieve nothing. Bad luck on the damage, but that's how it goes sometimes.
Taken care of.
Two points left.
X-ray neutralized.
I'm not too worried about these though. The thing is, the guys who are using the shotguns, anyone who comes within 4 squares of them gets a shotgun rotation. So
Hostiles pacified.
oops, did not mean to do that. Only have one guy left now.
witness the fruits of our endeavor.
Okay, we're going to
ready.
just take it easy
to
for a
engage.
turn.
Reloaded.
Yeah, reloading, waiting for our abilities to come out of
Locked and
cooldown.
loaded. Let's do this.
We simply have such a limited ability to heal and do that sort of stuff that it's better to take things a bit slowly. After all, there really isn't much of a downside to doing things that way. It'll take more time. No, rather it'll take more turns, but it's not quite the same. I still think we're mainly in the warm-up phase. The bigger war machines and high hit point enemies are going to be the real deal. Is there a doorway? Where are you going? Might as well use the sniper to scout. You can't use the sniper rifle anyway.
Look sharp. Enemies rolling up.
Effort, our people of intelligence and exceptional loyalty, easily adapted to serve our needs. Still, despite such great hopes, they were unable to embrace the gift. Another example.
Keeping him down.
They're not going to survive suppression fire.
Your nightmare is just starting.
Moving to Overwatch.
This is suspiciously easy at the moment. can't exactly go there. Rather, I don't want to go into that poison mist.
Let's do this.
Let's. You cannot be poisoned.
Hostile spotted.
Fuck.
Shot failed to connect.
Can't really have that.
Suppressing fire on target.
I like that. It's a guaranteed damage area. Okay. Progress.
Now, the new one confronts a greater threat, a rare strength found in an easily controlled breed. And yet, they are incapable of brilliance, of independence. They will never be more than primitive warriors, serving only to fight and die, as did those who came before them.
Yeah, the text scroll is a bit slow. Okay, what exactly can we shoot? Shoot what you see. We could withdraw, I suppose, but in many ways it would have been the smarter move. We could suppress, but not too big on suppress.
X-ray neutralized.
Dead and gone.
Suppress, I guess.
X-ray locked.
Still have our two heavy hitters left.
Sprint and spray.
Miss.
Target's still up.
Going in for the kill.
Ah, I did not mean to do this. thing is, this guy does not have the double tap. This went the wrong way around. Yeah, this is absolute failure. The exact opposite was supposed to happen. Use. Wasn't particularly displeased with the end results even then though. There is no way we can get through everything without getting injured or might even lose someone. Doesn't matter too much.
Bye-bye.
Actually, do not want to lose anyone. I think that's very likely to happen. That's something we can't do much about.
Hostiles pacified. He's down. All ass.
Let's try this again. Okay, go to cover. Double tap that son of a bitch. Not double tap though, is it? Rapid fire. Miss.
Ah, missing aim.
Miss.
Shot failed to connect.
Wow. That is terrible.
Moving to firing position.
Still, it's not exactly god-awful terrible. Where's the other alien we briefly see?
It's down.
Well, I think we're gonna find out.
Come get some.
Overwatch. Aye aye.
Eyes peeled, Commander.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's going to attack, it has to. Not doing anything. I'm a bit surprised by that. Where the hell is it? It has to be here. Otherwise we would see it. Lightning reflex is at risk. Ah.
See you in hell.
Better take it easy. This seems to be a large area right in front of us, so essentially much trouble.
Back in.
So we could sneak a little bit closer. Now that I think about it, we should have given the sniper a ghost armor. Sniper, more than anyone else, should have had this ghost armor, especially this type of snipers. It could have gone into a firing position and a scouting position without being detected, and yeah. Still, what's done is done. See what they can offer us.
An artificial warrior created to supplement the limitations of the many failures. Crafted with a singular purpose, it ultimately contributes little to our cause. Still, there is hope as the new one approaches.
So, war machines. I think they can pummel us no matter what we do. Now, let's try going to full cover. This guy has a pistol anyway. Devastating psionic storm. I don't think these guys give a shit. This will likely end up in failure, but I want to see... Do we have a chance to handle things this way? We cannot remain in a position where they have visual contact on us. That cannot be allowed to happen. We will not survive that. If I can get the 2 extra guys maybe downstairs still, that'd be great. What I think will happen is they'll fire area of effect rounds on us. Wrong guy jumped down. Doesn't really matter, now does it? It did fire, it just missed. So, things went better than expected. Probably don't want to do suppression fire, we need to cause damage. We need to cause massive amounts of damage. How do these die? Do they explode?
Damn it! On reserves!
Not really. Everyone seems to sort of puff out of existence and that's it. So something new spawned here. Do you want to go in the center or what?
Open fire! I'm under fire!
So, a couple of elites then? Why can't I see anything?
Moving to firing position. Weapons free! X-ray neutralized.
Well, hello there.
Taken care of.
Is that all? I'm still sort of waiting when the extreme resistance is gonna pop up. It's not necessarily the amount of enemies or
It's killing
they're
time.
not good enough, it's that they're being trickled at us. So they can't possibly pose a large threat.
Hunt 'em down.
And nothing.
We're green to go.
At least this gives us a chance to recover, let the abilities come out of cooldown.
Up and away. Roger. I've got my eyes on.
Back in.
Yeah, still not seeing anything. There's a door here. What can't I see?
Back in.
Back in.
So, next room. Wonder how many of these we have to go through before we reach the ethereals. It seems like nothing's gonna happen until we do. Actually, the ship ends here. You got to be shitting me. Okay, there's without a doubt some kind of confrontation here. Guess we'll wait a little bit. Guess I'm more or less just confused at this point. I mean, is some kind of a first stage of something, or is this extreme resistance what they were talking about? This. It's not exactly a totally out of the question thing. We're not exactly playing at a too hard of a difficulty, and the game has expansions or DLCs, which I think they, instead of expanding the story after the game, I think it fills up the existing games for council missions and special mechanics, that sort of thing. Like cyberware and things like that. So, and I think new enemies, so it might be that certainly room to grow as far as difficulty is concerned and challenge. So who wants to go in the center and die?
Ghosting. It's getting crowded over here.
Supreme Leader.
The greatest failure of the Imperial ones. We who failed to ascend as they thought we would. We who were cast out. We who were doomed to feed on the gift of lesser beings. As we sought to uplift them, to prepare them for what lies ahead. The hunt draws to a close. It was not a vain undertaking, but a necessity. As our physical form has grown ineffective, our search for the perfect specimen was driven by our own crippling limitation. And now, at long last,
So for the greater good. Classic. I think we are invisible to them at the moment. That's some kind of special one. So that's definitely the go.
Ghosting.
Why not? Why not the ghost? I mean, if we're gonna use the ghost armors, that's pretty much the last chance. In the zone. You have psi armor. Yeah, we have two guys who can't ghost, but the rest can. So we can pretty much prepare the battlefield as we want. 3 ethereals. One of them that is some kind of a special version. This kind of mobility is absolutely fantastic. Amazing. We can disable one's weapons or try to kill it. What's the point of life? Size. I wonder does it even affect ethereals?
it is as we had hoped. The new one has surpassed all that have come before, and with such great confidence, so skilled with the gift.
Mind control failed. Only 11 points of damage. Okay.
Stick and move,
Run and
stick
gun.
and move.
I'm going to try to take out the leadership. Being in cover I don't think helps much. Psionic abilities don't give a crap about that.
This is not your path, not your purpose. You need our guidance to own this power. Without us, what are you?
Ethereal down. But it was a normal ethereal. Sniper is not in a good shape. Can't block area of effect attacks. We could try to suppress, I suppose. 6. It's a guaranteed hit, that's why. No. One point of damage. If you stay, you're dead.
Moving to firing position.
We're probably going to lose the sniper, but I really don't care. If we could get rid of the rest of the guns, that would be great. Can only take down one guy. That's all. It's not shooting at the sniper. So I guess this is a wrap on this one. Better not to shoot yourself, I suppose.
Going hot.
Can just kill the fucker.
I'll get him next time.
Get him now. I would appreciate you getting it now. Go into hugging range and finish him.
Kill confirmed.
What the hell is happening?
The ship itself is behaving like a dying star. Becoming a black hole. At this distance, the Earth will be consumed.
Central, I'm bugging out. The package is not on board. Waited as long as I could, sir.
Sir, the alien ship is in motion.
What direction? What direction?
Up.
Yeah, second wave. New custom options. Overall score about 8,000. World 123,000. Days until victory. I'm not quite sure what this means. Is this the best, I mean highest score in area or in general? Some kind of average? Well, it can't be average. At least in certain areas I think it's best. I assume difficulty level is one deciding factor. Maybe techs. We certainly missed out on some tech. It's probably because we didn't keep the game going long enough. Seems like who would play this for a year? This game does not have content for a year. I mean, if you are waiting for that long, you're basically just fiddling with your balls instead of playing the game. But this is normal difficulty. With other difficulties, things may change drastically. Yeah, it's I would like an explanation what the world means. I would imagine it's some kind of an average, at least in most. Overall score is probably a high score of some sort. Never really valued high scores on these. It's because the guy who gets it is the one who's gone through, who understands the mechanics. So what you do is you don't really play the game. You go play the high score. It's a legit way to play a game, and it certainly can be very fun and interesting. It just isn't for me. I've done that in certain games. I think some rally games, TIE Fighter, for example, things like that. But it really is usually for either if you have a group of people and at least a couple of you want to sort of beat each other, or you really are it's some kind of a game you play in insane amounts, and you sort of basically try to push yourself to get everything out of it. This is not that kind of a game for me. It's well, what is it? Days until alien base cleared. Holy shit, that's terrible. I mean, the world game, but I don't know what it means. What is what? Blah blah blah. Firestorm was delayed quite a bit. It's the weapon fragments. Scientist, yeah. 147,000. That can't be right. Same with the engineers. Laboratories. Yeah, I think it's some kind of an average, because I can't see a competent player not researching this many technologies, or someone who's really out to get the maximum score. Maybe some of these values just don't mean what I think they mean. Average days per technology. This is probably weaker for us because we have a lot of downtime between certain technologies. We simply didn't have the resources, or well, we simply didn't have the resources, or we had nothing to research. An alien species captured. Workshops, items built, 89. Total credits earned 10,000, 11,000 really. Credits spent 10,000. Lyrium recovered 525, used 490. Okay, yeah. XCOM alien, XCOM enemy unknown. This is a fine game. It's certainly not bad, or I wouldn't say even average. It's a good solid game. My main gripe about or dislike about the game is that it can be a bit unstable. You can take steps to reduce that to pretty much nothing. So we played through the game and got like 1 or 2 crashes, but there are some settings you have to fiddle with. I for example cannot play this in full screen no matter what. I have to play it in windowed mode. Otherwise, it's very unstable, at least when recording. I would probably get a crash once per every mission I do, compared to a couple through the entire game. So there's a massive difference by just playing it in a windowed mode. But that's my main dislike about it. I mean, objectively as a game. My other dislikes of this come from playing other XCOM games, and while I think this is a good game, very good game for people who have not played XCOM games, because you don't know what you're missing, and not all the changes are bad. It's a simple system, easy to understand, easy to get into. It's presented visually in a pleasant way. There's a little bit more plot by having a basically assistant and researcher and engineer. Everyone is represented in the base, so there's more proper characters to play out the plot instead of just it playing out in texts. It's not a bad way to do it either, but this is more involved to get people into the game, and it does a lot of things well. It's not a bad game by any means. It's a good solid game, and for the DLCs and expansions probably strengthen that experience even further. So good solid game, but you can't really it's too formulaic. You can't do anything really out of the norm, out of place. You can't try anything special. You can't really destroy the terrain properly. There are no there's a limited things you can do with the movement system, because it's not fine-grained enough. Having 2 moves or actions in a turn per character just doesn't allow a lot of interesting things. It becomes quite a bit of a cover shooter. Not much you can do. The feats you can get every level up certainly spice things up a bit, but at the same time there's a massive difference between a high ranking character and even a mid-level ranking character. Absolutely massive. They don't really compare. So in a way, the groups you send out are fairly small, 6 at maximum. So the problem with that comes from that you're not that resistant to casualties. In a lot of other XCOM games, you can take quite a bit of guys on the mission. The downside might be in a way that you spend maybe more time than you would like by moving the troops. But at the same time, you're expected to take casualties on a fairly regular basis. Not necessarily many per mission, but your people die. That's why you have a fairly large group. You can have rookies going in first. The reactionary fire in general in this game is pretty piss poor. You can't rely on it at all. I can't say that I'm sort of wavering on it, because there's a lot of strengths to having a fairly simple system. However, the problem is it is a fairly simple system. Once you outgrow it fairly quickly. So it's good for a start, and sort of at the medium. Well, I wouldn't say medium. It's good to get you started, good to get involved, but when you try something a bit more clever, you don't have that many options. When you try to do some kind of a maneuvers with your characters, you can't do all that much. But it's I think it's the point system compared to this 2 action system is, I think, objectively much more fine grained. You can do a lot more interesting things. But what I would miss more is that you don't really have a proper inventory. You can't have a character who has any kind of different set of weaponry or abilities. You can't have something that serves a specific function, like a guy who's there to just have maybe a rifle and chuck grenades. You have to take the feat that it can have 3 grenades per mission. There's not a lot of producing weapons or managing the ammunition. In a way, it's something that certain people probably don't want to do at all, because it's managing things. But at the same time, there is very little managing things. Certain weapons can be balanced quite differently if the ammunition is a high concern, or that they can be made more powerful, more interesting. But here, when everything has infinite ammunition, and even reload doesn't really mean much, because you can have quite a few shots in any weapon before you have to reload. You have 2 systems. Either you have like 1 or 2 uses through the entire mission, 1 or the 2 if you spend a feat on it, or you have fairly samey weapons. Rifles, lasers, plasmas, they feel all the same. There's not really any difference to them, and there really isn't any difference to them. Even the damage is more or less the same tech level of weaponry. Everything's very flavorless. I guess this is like a solid meal that there's nothing particularly good or bad about it. It's a good solid meal, few interesting things. Probably more interesting the less you played these type of games, I would imagine. But at the same time, if you're very used to this is can be a bit bland. There are 2 paths you can choose with each character, which attributes you pretty much take. You can mix them up a bit, but for the most part it doesn't make much sense to mix them up too much. Or in other places there's clearly a superior choice for you to take, considering how actually these fights are fought. So there just aren't that many options. In many ways, I think a lot of things could be improved by simply changing the inventory system a bit. To actually have a sort of like inventory. Maybe treat your main gun the way you treat them in here. That you pick one of that your class is supposed to use, something like that, and it has the infinite ammunition that you just have to reload. That you always have that basic thing to rely upon, so you can't possibly fuck things up in a ways that you run out of ammo or something like that. But with the rest, let's say sidearms, grenades, that sort of thing, you would be given more leeway to build things like you want. But I don't know. Yeah. A good solid game overall, but somewhat of a disappointing game. Now that the more I think about it, the more there are those things that separate this from the previous XCOM games. The enemies. There was no blaster launcher users that were incredibly dangerous. The enemies are in groups of 2, 3 always. They always react the same way. They don't really act as a cohesive force. They basically wait there as a group until one of your guys spots them. Immediately jump to cover and the fight starts. Rinse and repeat throughout the game. Nothing exceptional or different at any point. very questionable AI in that sense. Every map is more or less the same. The temple ship, I guess, is a bit different, but I'm not sure if I would say that in a positive light. This is basically a tunnel run. A lot of these maps are either tunnels or repeats of the same few maps that don't allow for a lot of things to happen. So, at the same time, this game has all the basics of an older or previous XCOM games, but it's sort of in some ways it's polished a more simple and user-friendly form. At the same time, not all of the things that have been discarded have been negative to the gameplay experience. A lot of good things and flavor has been lost at the same time. So it's I still think this is just a fine game, good solid game, but my feelings of it are mixed still, because it's not amazingly good, and to me it's a I see quite clearly how it's weaker than the other XCOM game. So I can't just go along with, oh my god, what it did right, and how it is a nice solid experience, because everywhere I look it's more of a they made an experience for the player instead of having random missions where the enemy force is there to defeat you. It's there to it's handpicked there in few groups for you to kill. It doesn't really act as a force to use against you, try to defeat you. It's like an MMO group of enemies that's just sitting around in the wilderness waiting for you to come within 10 meters of you, then it'll suddenly activate and you'll have a fight. And every other group in the same field does nothing until you come within 10 meters of it, and then they'll activate. It's there's a lot of room to improve on this game, let's put it that way. You can't even shoot your own guys, even if you wanted to. The real point where it bothers me is when I mind controlled the alien, and there was no way to just put a bullet in the guy. Or just shoot at the wall with your normal weapon. You have to have a rocket launcher or something to even attempt to destroy it. So I miss the freedom and variety and the flavor of the other XCOM games. Doesn't make this one bad, but it just... yeah. It is what it is. Hopefully, I still want to see the newer versions made by this team to come out. I hope they can do better.